There is a lot of uncertainty tonight surrounding the Supreme Court's removal of federal abortion restrictions and what it could mean for other issues. Rachel is here and she talked with some legal experts tonight on the insight that this potential ripple effect could cause.
Yeah, and we heard some of that just today with Justice Clarence Thomas talking about the court could actually reconsider some pretty big landmark decisions that the court has previously taken up. And we're talking about things like a woman's right to access contraceptives, IVF, same-sex marriage, even interracial marriage. And earlier today, I talked to an IU law professor, and they say all of these things could face uncertain futures, and that's specifically because the way the Supreme Court overruled Roe was under privacy liberties.
All of these rights that were wrapped up with Roe have now been unfolded. And we know from the decision, at least particularly in Justice Thomas's concurrence, that all of these other cases that I've referenced with respect to right to marry, procreation, intimate expression, all of these are going to come into question, and a whole lot more.
And because they overruled the right to privacy for Roe, that opens those same cases up in the exact same light for reexamination. Another IU law professor that I spoke with said he would not be shocked to see those topics come right back up to the Supreme Court in the pretty near future.
So I think immediately conservative legal activists will begin plotting ways to get the issue of same-sex marriage or the issue of contraception back before the Supreme Court.
And it's not just things like same-sex marriage and contraceptives.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we're talking about Roe being overturned and returning that right from the federal level back to the state level, if women are needing to cross interstate lines, say you're going from Indiana to Illinois to seek an abortion, could your home state then impose penalties if they can prove, based on location data from your phone, that you have traveled out of state, or by using a period tracker app to see if you have missed a period and if you are coming back onto it, if they can subpoena that data. And it raises a lot of red flags and a lot of concerns that are really just unclear right now under legal precedent.
Yeah, a lot of complications and confusions for sure.
What's a bigger gray area, I think, are, again, things like telemedicine services, or what happens if abortion drugs are sent into a state that prohibits them. Does that state have the right to interdict them or to punish their entry into the state?
And that's IU law professor Steve Sanders, and he says, well, those are more legal areas that are a little bit gray and unclear right now, things that might come back up before the Supreme Court. The way they've overturned Roe means it's very unlikely that they would do anything to reconsider this kind of a decision on that level. Now, any changes that would potentially come down the road would need to come from Congress, and that brings up a lot of concern among women, especially those who are trying to get pregnant through IVF.
Yeah, a lot of questions about IVF that we've been fielding tonight. So we did have our Verify team look into it. Here's what they found.
All over the internet, people are talking about the ramifications of overturning Roe v. Wade. Fertility doctors are saying the practice of in vitro fertilization, or IVF, could be at risk. We spoke with 3 legal experts to find out why and how IVF could be impacted by overturning the decision. About IVF treatment. A person looking to get pregnant is given medication to help stimulate the ovaries to produce several eggs. With the help of an embryologist, these eggs are retrieved from the ovaries and combined with sperm, creating embryos. Typically, one is transferred back to the uterus in hopes that it becomes a pregnancy. As for the other embryos,
they can be frozen, they can be donated, or there's also the choice to destroy them.
With Roe overturned, states can now enact or enforce laws declaring life begins at fertilization. That would mean embryos are legally considered children. If embryos are defined as children, our experts say that would redefine how the IVF industry works and limit what prospective parents, physicians, and embryologists can do. With frozen embryos,
would that person be required to donate those embryos to somebody else? Would the person be required to use them?
When testing embryos,
some of these would lead to horrific pain and agony for children if they were born, and they're intentionally being selected out right now. But what happens if every embryo is a person? What right does anyone have to decide that some are better than others?
And while taking care of embryos,
there have been a small number of tank failures in this country, and couples have brought wrongful death claims, and the courts have routinely dismissed those cases. But if that changes, then the liability becomes criminal.
Our experts say this risk of liability can have lasting impacts on the IVF process. It's important to note the decision is written specifically addressing abortion, but without Roe, it's possible for states to adopt their own more restrictive laws.
It's a scary domino effect that could happen.
So we can verify while overturning Roe v. Wade doesn't directly address IVF, our experts say it's possible that state laws could make the process more difficult. With your Verify, I'm Abby Larico.